Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle here with the most explosive offenses in all of football. We are going to talk about today what offenses have the opportunity to put up the most points, so you know what offenses that you should also be investing in the most. And we're going to dive deep into some numbers and some statistics that likely you may have not really worked with before, and kind of give you a little bit of background on how that is going to help you. But I got to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Fantrax who are doing the ultimate game day experience giveaway right now. If you create a new league over there, if you move an existing league over there, if you join an existing league over there, you are going to be entered in the opportunity to win tickets for your entire league to go towards any regular season NFL game, and you're going to get $6,000 towards your travel and accommodation. So 100%, if you're thinking about starting up a league, or if you've got a league on another platform, try out the free Fantrax platform. It's 100% worth it, and you're going to get put in to this game day experience giveaway. Now, speaking of giveaways, I've got a couple of draft guides that I got to give away real quick. Over my last two videos, both of them hit 1,500 likes. Appreciate you, Headliner Nation, but I want to challenge everybody today, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But tough draft day decisions. Chris Curtis going to be our draft guide winner from that video, and Corey Isaac, he's going to be our winner from there. Make sure that you guys send us an email, info@thefantasyheadliners.com, so we can get you your free draft guide so you can get ready to absolutely dominate your fantasy football leagues. Now, I want to challenge everybody out there, okay? We see it in the comments below where people are like, oh, this video's got like 15,000 likes and it doesn't even, or 15,000 views and doesn't even have 1,000 likes yet. I want to challenge every single one of you to hit the like button right now. I want to give away a draft guide, but more importantly, I want to give away Jake's Nick Chubb jersey still. It's still sitting behind him after I tried to give it away earlier in the year. So show me right now that you all would want to win Jake's Nick Chubb jersey. And if we get to 2,500 likes on this video, then in a video coming up, I will let you all know how you will have a shot to win that jersey. But enough of that. 2,500 likes on this video, and we're going to try and give away that Nick Chubb jersey in an upcoming video. But we got to talk about most explosive offenses right now, and we're going to break this down into several different categories. And the first category that we are going to talk about is seconds per play. So when we take a look at the top 8 offenses, and I'm going to break it down 8 at a time to make sure you're not overwhelmed by all the information on the screen. But this is how many seconds it takes for an offense to run a play. So who is running plays the quickest? Who's getting to the line quickest? You see Tampa Bay come up, and that probably doesn't throw you off that much. I would like to show you that Dallas is number 2 last year. Dallas was running a play every 27 seconds last season, which was beating top-tier offenses like Buffalo, like Kansas City, like the Los Angeles Chargers. That was absolutely insane to see them so high. And this could be a trend that we see with the Cowboys throughout this video, so keep an eye on them. But it's interesting when you take a look at this and you say, okay, there are some top-tier offenses in here. Tampa Bay, Dallas, Buffalo, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Chargers, Arizona for a majority of the year. Obviously, they slacked off a little bit towards the end of the season when Kyler Murray got injured. And then the Los Angeles Rams. But the Miami Dolphins sticking right here at number 7. This is going to be an interesting one because seconds per play by itself might not necessarily translate to actually scoring points. And we're gonna see if we can find a connection coming up here pretty soon. Jacksonville saw themselves find their way into the top 10, which isn't that surprising, because if you've watched an Urban Meyer offense at college, you know that that's the type of offense they run. But again, it didn't really translate to points. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. It was surprising, though, to see the New York Giants as high as they were. New York Giants last season seemed to me like a team, especially, with the coaching staff that was there, that was a little bit more methodical in their approach. Didn't really work well, but they find themselves at number 16. Moving on to the next 8, Carolina, the New York Jets, the Detroit Lions, Houston, the Chicago Bears. That one doesn't surprise me, especially with how long Justin Fields was starting last year. Probably not running him through the process as much as possible. The New England Patriots. I was actually surprised to see that they were as low as what they were. But again, last year they focused so much on running the football that really their game plan was beat you down with the running game, make passes when they need to, and let their defense win games for them. And it worked last season, so they didn't need to be that quick with the offense. It will be interesting to see if they do pick up the pace this coming season. New Orleans at number 24. Tennessee coming in at number 25. After Derrick Henry went down with his injury, again, not very surprising to see that they were a little bit on the lower side because, again, they're not wanting to turn the ball back over to the other offense. They're wanting to keep the ball with them. They're wanting to push the ball down the field, and they're wanting to eat time off the clock. Lamar Jackson, when you got a quarterback like that, I'm surprised Baltimore wasn't letting him kind of run the show a little bit more. And when you take a look at some of these offenses towards the top, with the exception of Miami, the first 8 teams there, they all have veteran quarterbacks. Guys that an offensive coordinator and a head coach can really allow to kind of run the program a little bit and give their input. For the Baltimore Ravens, for how explosive their offense is, and how long Lamar Jackson has been in the league now, I'm surprised they're not a little bit quicker with it. And they're allowing that offense. But again, maybe they're looking at it the same way some of these other teams are, is, hey, we want our defense to really help us out here. We don't want to keep giving the ball back so quickly. We're going to be a little bit more methodical in our approach. And then you see the Denver Broncos, the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals at 29. This is another team that I feel like they could benefit even more from bumping up that time. Now, maybe some of that had to do with Joe Burrow, especially at the beginning of the season. As he was working his way back from the ACL tear prior. But get this team rolling. Get the seconds per play going a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit quicker than San Francisco, Indianapolis, and Green Bay. Now let's jump to our next one. So really everything in this video is going to be focused on how well does a team do something on a play-by-play basis, not a full picture overview. And we talk about that in our videos all the time, right? What are the deep parts of the statistics? Stop looking at the box scores, stop looking at the top layer, and try to find the numbers deep below that are going to help you make even better decisions. And that's what we're doing in this video. We're really focusing on the statistics that show us a play-by-play basis. So yards per play. Again, some players might or some teams might catch you off guard here. Number 4, the Dallas Cowboys making another appearance in the top 10 here, which again is going to be very interesting, and we'll talk about it more at the end of the video. Buffalo, Chargers, the Rams, the Seahawks come into play at number 8. Russell Wilson missed some time last season. They had injuries across the board. That offense did not function as well as we would have liked, but yet they were still top 8 in average yards per play. Green Bay coming in at number 9. The Vikings, Philadelphia, the Las Vegas Raiders. We know with the Raiders last year, they didn't have a problem putting up yards. They had a problem putting up points. They didn't really finish, and that's what we needed from them. The Patriots being tied with the Bengals actually surprised me, knowing that, again, the Bengals were a little bit more of an explosive team, but if New England was running a few more plays than what the Bengals were per game, that might kind of help even things out a little bit. Indianapolis, Arizona, the Browns, Baltimore, Denver, Detroit. Detroit's number at 5.2. I would not be surprised if that goes up this year by a little bit. I would say that we're definitely going to be looking at getting them a little bit closer to 6 if that offense functions the way we think it could. Tennessee would normally be a lot higher too, but unfortunately missing Derrick Henry all last year really did hurt them. Atlanta, Washington, we mentioned it a second ago with Jacksonville. Jacksonville was top 10 in plays per second. but they're at 24 now in yards per play. So clearly that hurry up offense last year was not assisting them in catching defenses off guard, or maybe they were just that bad. The New York Jets, they should see a little bit of a climb this year. Chicago Bears, their offensive line sucks. I don't see any type of a climb this year. The New Orleans Saints could see a climb this year. If Jameis Winston is the quarterback, they might be able to push the ball a little bit better. Miami at number 28, averaging 4.8 yards per play last season. With Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle in year 2, 100% could see a growth for them. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't know if I see too much of a growth from them. That offensive line, again, won't be as bad as it was last year, but I don't think it's nearly as improved as a lot of people think. And then the Giants, the Houston Texans, and the Carolina Panthers, to no one's surprise, rounding out the top 32 teams. What about points per play? How many points are we putting up every time we run a play in the NFL? Well, once again, maybe some surprises here. At number 2, the Dallas Cowboys popping up once again. A team that when you take a look and you say, oh, Mike McCarthy is the head coach, they were putting up points last season. Him and Kellen Moore, guiding that offense, had them functioning at a high level last offseason. And outside of CeeDee Lamb, it just feels like it's not getting the love that it deserves. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, the New England Patriots, again, knowing that this was a team that was a little bit more methodical with their approach. Yes, Damian Harris scored 16 touchdowns last season, but outside of that, there was nobody that really jumped off the page in terms of performance level. When you get 16 touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor, though, that definitely is going to help out, and probably part of the reason why they're right up there next to New England Patriots. But you also think the same thing about the Indianapolis Colts. You like Michael Pittman, but, he had an okay season last year, a good season. It wasn't nearly as great as what a lot of people think could happen this year. And they were primarily the same thing. Run the football, win with their defense. But yet, points per play, they were still right up here near the top. The Rams and the Bengals, nobody's surprised to see them up there. The Chargers, the Seahawks, again, the Seahawks being up here is a surprise because this was a team last year that, based on belief from a majority of people, didn't have that great of a season. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett were both a little bit down in performances than what we probably anticipated from last year. Russell Wilson missed some games. Rashad Penny comes on towards the end of the season and helps out. But again, an offense that actually was putting up points and making some pretty darn good plays last year. Green Bay and Philadelphia, San Francisco, the Minnesota Vikings, Arizona, Tennessee, even though they weren't very great in terms of yards per play, methodical in the approach, still scored them points. The Saints coming in at number 17, then the Raiders, the Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, again, another team that had weapons, surprised that they weren't a little bit higher on this list. Broncos, Washington, Atlanta, Miami. Miami should see a huge jump this season. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Detroit, New York Jets, Chicago, Houston, Carolina, Jacksonville, and again, the New York Giants. Not a surprise to see some of these teams down here. Now, after all of that, we've gone through that points per play, yards per play, seconds per play. What about first downs? I think first downs are actually a pretty critical stat to think about because it kind of depends on what you're looking at. The more first downs you have, the more of an opportunity you have to continue to stay on the field, which means the longer you're on the field, the more fantasy points that team could provide you. Now, also, if a team is very explosive and they're driving the ball down the field, making a lot of big plays, their first downs per play could potentially be offset a little bit. But again, that's why we're looking at it on a per play basis, because even if a team runs 13 plays in a drive and they pick up 3 first downs, and a team runs 2 plays on a drive and they pick up 1 first down, that's gonna offset, and that's going to show in the numbers if you look at first downs per play. Kansas City, Buffalo, Chargers, Tampa Bay up here at the top. Not surprised there at all. The Green Bay Packers, Not surprised to see them there yet. We see that with Aaron Rodgers where, again, kind of that methodical approach where we're pushing the ball down the field, making the right plays. It might not be the biggest play every time out, but he's going to find the first down marker and he's going to keep the offense on the field. The New England Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers, Indianapolis, again, great numbers from Jonathan Taylor, helped to prop up the Indianapolis Colts. Did I say the Indianapolis Vikings a second ago? I don't know why I felt like that. Maybe I did. Who knows? I was getting ready to talk a little bit more about other teams, but it is what it is. Dallas even showing up here in the top 10 again. Dallas showing out in the top 10 of all these statistics. Baltimore, now we see Baltimore finally move to the top. We talk about this explosive offense. We see them push to the top on first downs per play. I think that's really critical to take a look at. The Los Angeles Rams, Cleveland, Arizona, Raiders, Philly, Washington being up here. Again, Washington, another team, just like the Raiders, where they were able to stay on the field, but they couldn't finish. They couldn't find the end zone as much as they would have liked. Devontae Adams is obviously going to help the Raiders with that this season. And Carson Wentz, hopefully he can help Terry McLaurin find the end zone a little bit more this year. Tennessee, obviously Tennessee being a lot lower with Derrick Henry being out. The Denver Broncos, Seattle. Again, I kind of mentioned it a minute ago. You have an explosive offense like the Cincinnati Bengals. They're sitting at number 20. And you think to yourself, well, Kyle, that's a really good offense. Why are they so low? Because they do have some situations where, hey, they might only get a first down in your first 6 plays or something like that. And then boom, big time touchdown. So yeah, they're not getting as many first downs as you would like to see, but they're offsetting that with big plays. Lions, Bears, honestly, I'm surprised to even see the Bears this high. The Minnesota Vikings, I am surprised to see them this low, especially with Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen. The Atlanta Falcons, the Jets, Miami, Jacksonville, the Saints. We see these teams over and over. The Steelers, unless you think, and we're going to talk about this here in a minute. We'll go into it a little bit more, and we're going to kind of break down every single team and where we see a difference changing in 2022. But what I did is I averaged out all these numbers. I put them together. I averaged them all out, so then we could take a look at a final score. The lower the score, the better, because what I did is I added up where everybody finished in every category, added it all together, divided it by the number of categories we had. The lower the score, the better, to give you an average view of where teams finished. No surprise to see Kansas City, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay at the very top. Very surprised to see the Cowboys up there, because the mindset right now for fantasy drafters is that Mike McCarthy is not the type of head coach that can put together explosive offenses, but it is clear that he does. Now, it helps that he's got some good players there, but outside of CeeDee Lamb, no one's really being given the type of upside that they deserve. Nobody seems to be on Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard is a guy that people are interested in, but haven't really come around to that much. You've got a guy like Michael Gallup who's working his way back, and Jalen Tolbert, who people are talking about. Dak isn't even really considered one of the top quarterback options this year. He's kind of the top guy after the top guys are taken, right? After the top guys are taken, then Dak Prescott is being, considered. And then you've got a guy like Dalton Schultz, who right now, you either like him or you don't. There aren't a whole lot of people who are saying, I'm okay with Dalton Schultz. I like him, but I don't love him, but I don't hate him. No, you either really, really like him or you don't think he's really going to do that good. So we see here the Cowboys absolutely are putting up explosive plays, putting up numbers, putting up fantasy points. Y'all should be drafting them as much as possible. The Chargers and the Rams being here. The New England Patriots do surprise us. The Patriots being a team where when you take a look at their offense and you say, hey, it's good, but how good is it going to be? Especially when you see them run the ball as much as they did last year. New England obviously was doing something correct. And nothing stands out from last year's offense other than Damian Harris putting up 16 rushing touchdowns. So did that inflate the numbers? I don't think so. They were just a team that, was under the radar. They weren't flashy. They weren't splashy. They were doing what they were supposed to do, and it put them inside the top 10. Arizona coming in at number 8. The Eagles, are they going to take a step forward? For me, I personally see them in the same area. They're going to have some really good games, but Jalen Hurts' inconsistencies are going to hurt them at times. The Seahawks being at number 10, knowing that Russ missed some time last year, and when he came back, he wasn't that good. Inconsistent seasons from DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Rashad Penny was very good at the end of the season, but for them being at the 10 spot last year, another surprising team that was under the radar consistent. And they looked pretty darn good last year at times, which won't happen this year. Drew Lock, Geno Smith, not going to get it done. San Francisco, Green Bay, the Las Vegas Raiders at number 13. They're going to be a team that could end up going higher if they score the points. They got to score. They got to finish. Minnesota, Indianapolis, again, kind of being propped up by those Jonathan Taylor numbers. We need to see Matt Ryan help that passing game a whole lot for them to climb. The Cincinnati Bengals at number 16 is surprising. Knowing how good that offense was, you take a look at that team and you say, oh man, they don't seem like they were that explosive. But also keep in mind with this information that looking at a per play basis, does it actually hurt them that they score so quickly with such big plays sometimes? Yes and no. We're still going to invest in them, but it's the same thing that we've said basically all season long when you talk about like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. These guys are either going to have good games or they're going to have games where you look at it and say, that wasn't that desirable. Because of how quickly they score in the big plays, the volume may not always be there for them. And because they don't have some of the same volume as other teams and they're not on the field as long, it could hamper the numbers here. I'm still not skipping on them. The Baltimore Ravens at number 17, need to see them take a step forward. Getting J.K. Dobbins back should help with that. The Cleveland Browns, they need to get back to what they were doing a couple of years ago. Running the football, pounding the football, play action, let their quarterback get out of the pocket, find guys open. That's what's going to make them successful. Tennessee not having a great season with Derrick Henry out. Washington, Atlanta, both of these teams, both are in a position to potentially take a step forward, but also have a lot of question marks as well, especially the quarterback position. Denver should go a lot higher this season. Now having Russell Wilson, Judy and Sutton 100% healthy, hopefully for the entire year, and then Williams and Melvin Gordon in the backfield. They should take a big step forward. Miami should take a big step forward. The Detroit Lions should take at least a small step forward. Let's try to be realistic with it. We don't want to get crazy. Jacksonville, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up staying in about the same area. The Jets are really going to be dependent upon what Zach Wilson does. The Saints should take a step forward, especially with having Jameis Winston this season. For a full year, if Jameis Winston puts up Tampa Bay-esque numbers, yeah, he might throw a lot of interceptions, but he's going to put up a lot of yards. Chicago will probably end up falling even lower. Their offensive line sucks. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers here. They were not very good on offense last year. And people are all on board wanting to get a hold of Pittsburgh Steelers players, and I get it. But when you take a look at how bad they were on offense last year and realize, yes, Najee Harris was good because of volume, how much room for growth is there actually? Do you realistically think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are 10 times better or 5 times better than what they were last season? Is Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky really going to be that much better than what Ben Roethlisberger was? That's what you have to ask yourself, because if you're betting on the Steelers offense, you're betting on them being significantly better than they were last season, because you're buying the Steelers offense for their ceiling. You're not buying it for its floor. And you know how I know that? Because in the comments, when I ask about Najee Harris, 90% of the comments are, I'm taking Najee Harris because of his upside. I'm taking Najee Harris because of his pass catching work. That's really going to help out his ceiling. Y'all are out there saying it. So if you're drafting them for their ceiling, but the offense is this bad, are you drafting them for their ceiling or are you drafting them for their floor? The Carolina Panthers, they hopefully take a step forward this year. The New York Giants probably won't. Daniel Jones is not the answer. And Houston could be a little bit of a bump, but I still just think this is going to be an offense that for the most part is going to be a majority of weeks, something that is going to put up some decent points, but nothing that we get super crazy about. But there's your final scores for the most explosive offenses last season. Who do you think takes the biggest step forward this year? Hopefully this helps you out taking a look at your drafts and trying to understand, hey, what do we got? What are we looking at? What offenses are going to give me the most opportunity to score points? Hopefully this helped you in your decision-making process. Hit that like button for me. Again, if this video can get 2,500 likes in an upcoming video, we are going to talk about giving away Jake's Nick Chubb jersey and what you would need to do to get that. But you all have to prove it to me because you let me down last time. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. It's okay. I forgive you all. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners. Leave a comment down below. Maybe I'll pick somebody to give a draft guide to when we hit 1,500 likes again. Again, hit the like button. See what I'm doing here? It's an experiment. It's an experiment with the likes. I want to see something. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you all stay safe and healthy, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that Chubb life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation. I'm a